and it's playing.
Okay, so guys, we are about to start the second section, and this time around we are going into the details after our short coffee and some cakes, and I think our presenter had some time to refresh a bit, drink some coffee and have some cakes. So we are starting again into details this time around in the contracts, and we have pictures, we have photos, and we have printed copies of these contracts to go into details about the Slovenian contract and removal of Brussels. So over to you, Aga.
Right, so going back to the information, do not sign anything that you do not understand. I wanted you to pay attention, especially what is called in Poland like a mutual agreement. Let's say that somebody is fired, and do not sign anything that is given by your employer, because it may happen that you'll be cheated and you'll be just given something that is called mutual agreement, and then it means that you agreed to to stop working for this person. But when you are fired, you've got some rights to get this job on some conditions. So be very careful what you are signing, and also on your contract there shouldn't be any information about any possible fines that you, because like as it is according to the Polish law, this is not right, sorry.
You can keep this on top of it.
Okay, no problem. So very often people they worry if it is written they might be fined for quitting the job too early or something, but this is not legal. I mean, it's nothing in the Polish labor law about it. So do not sign any contracts like that, or just say to your employer that you can't pay this fine because this is not legally established. It is not legally established.
So you have the right to tell the employer that?
Yes, just
great. And
shall we say anything about the consequences of illegal work?
yes.
Right, so when to work legally in Poland, the person has to have a work agreement. Doesn't matter if it's a foreigner or it is a Polish citizen. So not having in writing a work agreement may just put somebody into trouble. So another thing is that if the person has to get a work permit to legalize the work, but for the students it's not necessarily for the full-time students, but the consequences to perform the work illegally can be very serious for the worker, because the worker might be checked by the border guards and just might be told to leave the Poland. And obviously for the future, or for getting like a permission for the temporary stay, there'll be a huge problem in the future. And also the fine is minimum 1,000 for the worker. By comparing to those consequences to leave the country and come back to the country of his her origin, there's just almost nothing. There are also consequences for the employer, and the fine is much bigger, but very often the employers will just even risk it, because the income that they've got from this illegal work is very minimal. Yeah, so.
Great.
Okay, next. Where you can just fight for your rights, there'll be more about rights. So what the institution may just help you. If you so as an employer, you can just find some support, and also you can report about any problems with your employer to the Państwowa Inspekcja Pracy. This is the institution that's got the right to come to the place you work and check all the documents. But very careful if you work illegally, because they will report to the border guards. There are some illegal workers. And also, if you know there are other people working illegally, maybe not you yourself, just please be careful about informing this institution, because they may mean they be the kind of deported, and the consequences of that. If your employer is dishonest and hires the people illegally, so be careful about reporting them. And also, if you have a trade unions at your work, you can always ask them for support. But unfortunately, in not many places there are trade unions in Poland. And the last institution that I would just encourage you to go with your cases, that be just labor courts that I mentioned already, that you can just fight for your rights.
So would you need a lawyer to do this kind of cases when you have issues with your employer, with your employment issues?
You can do it yourself.
You can do it yourself.
You can do it yourself. I mean, with small support, with somebody knowing college, you don't really need to hire a lawyer for those cases, because the labor court, what's going to happen? There may be even the very simple case without any hearing. Like, let's say the labor court may check your work agreement and also the situation or the conditions that you were working on, and then the decision of the court and the statement could be just easily released. So
And
you don't really need a lawyer for that.
Yeah, maybe in additional, since it's not really advisable to use a lawyer, maybe there are some NGOs, some organizations that could help.
Yes, I mean, I gave you last time when we had the meeting, like a list of those organizations.
Yes, we posted it.
They were like at least 10 what I get. If you as a foreigner have any problems with the legalization of stay, or even like, I don't know, problems in any Polish institution, you can ask for help in many different places in Warsaw. Fundacja Ocalenie, Centrum Wielokulturowe, Fundacja dla Somalii. There are many places. They will just support you for free, and you may just get some assistance. And also, if you need like maybe if you need to be advised by the professional lawyers, there are also institutions where the professional lawyers work and support migrants and refugees.
Great.
So, but we've got this list, and also I gave you the list with the websites and everything. But,
yeah, I posted
but
it.
if it's needed, then I can just.
I think I will just need to repost it again. I mean, we have it in our page already.
The only problem may be that if your case is not a very complex one, in some of those places you may be just say, okay, but this is really simple one, go to NGO, you don't need any lawyer. So it can be like that, right? So like maybe Stowarzyszenie Interwencji Prawnej that I was talking about in this case, that we had a meeting on Zoom some time ago.
Yeah.
They may just not refuse you help, but they would say just it's so simple, just anybody could do it. So there's no point for just being involved in such a case.
Great.
Right. So the best is to have the agreement in writing. But if it happens that you have just only oral agreement, it doesn't mean. Still, you've got the right for your salary, but it would be much harder to prove. And of course, you can have some witnesses that you worked and you performed your work, and you can just bring those people to the court and still be paid. But it's much easier when you've got.
So it's necessary to insist on my employer giving me a written agreement.
I mean, for the employer, he has to do it. I mean, but from the worker side, it's very often the people would just say, okay, you can do this job on this and these conditions, we can just make this gentleman agreement, you'll be paid. So it is like the employer should give you the work agreement, like the one original version to you, and then another stays with the employer. But the worker, if the worker is left without this written agreement, the only chance is just to prove that the work's been done and the person just has to be paid.
Okay.
But of course, it's not impossible to prove it, but it's much harder than having just this work agreement in writing.
And so does it matter? It doesn't matter the kind of job, because if it's some kind of job like I want you to be coming to my home to be cleaning my house, for instance, or I want you to be driving my car, and I want you to be rendering a certain amount of money, we agree together, a kind of mutual agreement.
As long as the person is paid, it should be work agreement.
As long as the person is paid, it should be
paid. But if you do even do your work voluntary, you should be given something like an agreement as well about the conditions of your work. And very often the person who is volunteering and working for some institutions, they should be given like maybe some kind of insurance. So it's not paid, but still it's got some rights. So to have your rights as a volunteering person, you can insist of having a contract as well. Not work contract, but volunteering work agreement or some kind of like a document. But what you were mentioning, like housekeepers, unfortunately, they are very often used by those people who hire them. They don't pay any taxes, they don't pay any insurance, and very often those migrants, when they got sick, they just ended up in a huge problem because they don't have the health insurance in Poland. They got some money, of course, paid, but if those employers are not happy with their work and don't want to pay them, there is no way they can prove that the work's been done. So this is almost like it's not. It just the person who hires on those conditions is just dishonest somehow.
Great. So, and in being in writing, we should insist the writing should be in
the language that the worker understands.
Important.
It doesn't have to be in two languages. I mean, for the employer, it should be, of course, for the file and for the documents in Polish, but mainly. It's very important that the person who performs work understands the agreement.
Great.
So just insist, or if you do not understand Polish, insist on a translation.
Okay.
Okay, and also about the insurance, do not trust what the employer says, always go and find out. You know why I'm insisting on this insurance? Because a lot of people fall ill, and then to visit the doctor is 350 zloty.
400.
They spend so much. So basically, I feel people should not feel gullible about the fact that, they are not taking my tax, I'm taking full payment.
Yeah.
You're doing yourself more harm than good.
Yeah, really. But this is even another problem, because very often some of the employers will just propose to other people, okay, we can have this amount of money on the work agreement, but actually you'll be paid more, but we won't pay so high taxes. Yes, very often. Yeah, very often that you've got maybe on your work agreement you have a not full-time job, but maybe half-time job. And you are paid half according to this work agreement, but actually you do full-time job and you are paid some money. So people think, okay, I got more money for myself, but there's one problem, because this is your income. And if you can't prove that what the source of your income is,
the bank will also have a problem with you.
This is a problem that you might be found guilty of fraud. Like giving this tax declaration, that everybody who works in Poland is supposed to, everybody's supposed to do it every year. And then you just write, okay, so I paid this and this amount of money of my of the taxes because I worked as a part-time worker. But in fact, my income was much higher. Not according to the written document, but in your bank account.
Accounts.
Your employer paid you more than you were supposed to get
But if
from your employer, because very often the people are given the money just like in
Like
in
on
cash.
cash.
But some, I noticed that even with the Nigerian students, and I just told them about it, that very often they are paid more, and the money
On their
well,
contract.
just they got the money on the bank account, but on the work agreement, the working hours were like the number of the working hours were less than they usually they worked, and they were paid for. And the question is how where the money came from.
what's it for?
Like the employer paid you this and this amount of money for what? Because he likes you. I mean, like, how did you get this amount of money when you were supposed to get like half of it? So, I mean, be very careful, because now the banks are very suspicious, and being accused of fraud. This is like, I don't mean that everybody will hear the charges like that, but really be careful with these income taxes, even like a gift taxes that you are not very familiar with, I know, but this is maybe not about the work itself, but I know that when somebody collects the money for the transferring money from one account into another account, and don't pay the taxes for some extra money that keeps for oneself, it may be a problem as well, because that person might be found guilty of fraud, not even doing that, or laundering the money. So this is a huge problem, and I know that the people are not aware of it. That even let's say that I will have a loan, somebody will just transfer the money into my account, and this is like a bigger amount of money. What's the source of this money is? I mean, I can be given by my closest family, but if one of you transfer me the money or give me the money, this is my income. So that's what I would call like a gift tax. For some reason, my income is higher, so the money came from, even if it's a gift, but my income is higher, so I'm supposed to just to pay a tax from it.
Okay.
Oh, that's sorry. Okay.
Okay, so even if this money you got is just a one-time payment, it's still considered you have to put it in your taxes?
Gifters?
It depends on the source of the money, but this is very complicated. We can do it another time.
Okay.
Because when I start talking about the different types of the taxes now, then we just spend. Yeah, sorry for that, but
It's okay.
but I mean, really be careful, or just, I don't mean you yourself, but just really tell other people, because I know this is a huge problem that some of the Nigerian people have here, and I was telling to the other people also living in London and in other places that are Nigerian, that just be careful with that, but because when you are caught, there'll be a huge problem. You can be found guilty of different types of
Because I have recently personally been in such situation, because I got some amount of money from home country, exchanged the money to Zloty, but I paid in Naira. Do you understand? But then I got the money and I got it straight up in my account without having a feeling of anything. And then suddenly the bank just blocks my account. Do you understand? Now, in my own case, I even went with a proof that I transferred this money and I got the equivalent. Up till today, okay, I went home for holidays, but when I came back, I realized that they transferred, no, they had blocked the account. So I had no access to this money. Now, on coming back, I realized that they have transferred the money out from my account. Now, I don't even know where it went to. And I have filed series of complaints. I even went with the person that I got the money from, wrote like a written agreement, signed with the person, gave my passport detail, gave the person's passport details, but up till now the money is not been refunded, the account has not been unblocked.
What?
So in that situation, what do we do? Because you are, at this point, I feel like I am a victim of some kind of circumstance, because I did it with a plain mind to pay my tuition fee. But then it happens that they call it like laundry, and I said this is not it. So in that kind of situation, how do you even get out of it? I mean, because I need my own money back.
Yes, I understand. I think that we should just go into details, and then you should just complain about it to the bank or to other institutions. But I don't think it should be just discussed in public. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So maybe I think the
I don't know, but
it's fine. Yeah. So maybe I think we'll propose another session for laundering to know more details about tax. Gift
How
card.
to do it legally?
No, not really. How not to
No,
call it
because
victim.
lots of
I'm
students
sorry.
are, they depend on their parents, and their parents send them huge amount of money to pay school fees.
Yes,
And
I do understand. I mean, like even my friend, he lives in London. He's Nigerian, right? But he was living here for some time, and he said then he just texted to me and then said my account was blocked, and we had the problem because like he was just in Great Britain with no way that he could come to the office to explain the situation, and now I couldn't do much here for him. So we were just like even trying, and that was like, I don't know actually, but he was just abroad, and the Polish bank just blocked his account, and he didn't have any access to this bank. They just called him to come to the office, and he was just calling him to the info line, and there was just no reaction.
No reaction.
And since the time he's just not able to use this account. So I mean, and especially just be very careful in the situation. Like I mean, besides those situations that are clear, right, that somebody had just transferred the money there for your school fees or something like that. But I know that what the people do, like let's say that somebody for exchanging the money, keep some money for oneself, for this work, right? Like let's say that you will ask me to pay you in zloty, you will just transfer the money in euros into my account, and you want me just to give you the equivalent amount of money in zloty, for example. They would say, okay, you can just do it through my own account, but I want you to pay 100 for this, for example, right? And of course, this is not legal, right? Because I don't have the institution. They may just do this exchangement for you,
Wow.
and I can't have any income from this when I just exchange the euros into zloty or whatever, like dollars, whatever, into zloty, and take the money from you for that. So that's why I just want you to be aware this is risky, because I know that a lot of people do it because of the situation that like.
Yeah, so I think to cut it short, I think we
move
are
on to the
proposing maybe another session in future about it.
And also
Yeah.
that like sorry for that, and I'm just carrying on that. I know that lots of people are involved, like maybe like buying and selling things, right? Because like the friend that he was just thinking about, like the one that I was talking about, to get something in Poland and maybe to sell it in Nigeria, because whatever he wanted to buy and sell that, and keep some money for the justice
To buy again.
to buy in and selling to another person. And the thing is that he doesn't have any business to do it, and this is his income. So, and the source is so hard to,
Trace.
yeah. I mean,
To prove.
what? I mean, even if he says, okay, I've got this guy who paid me this for this, I don't know, iPhone or something, and I just got some money from him for this transaction, but he doesn't have a business to do this transaction, and he's supposed to pay taxes from this.
What
income.
if you have the business and it's not registered in Poland?
That's not the problem. You can have a business that's not registered here, but then it means that you pay the taxes somewhere else.
Exactly.
So you need to.
But then you will have to prove that you pay the taxes somewhere else.
Then in
maybe,
that case,
yeah.
I'm good because I pay a tax somewhere. I pay a tax back in my home country. So they do not have the right to hold the money here because I pay a tax for this income back in Nigeria. The business is registered.
What I think that you are just a victim of this law that's been introduced a few months ago. That they just want banks and even employers, even NGOs to be very careful about the laundering of money. That was introduced in August, I think. So even if I like, they may check me like if there is any like money laundering in my like
Personal
books or
account.
something. Yes.
So I think the best thing would be to propose a meeting and have another special session dedicated to it. Yeah, on money,
but
because
it
I
was-
think there are lots of cases
Yeah.
and there are lots of issues, because every time we are dealing with this, we need to exchange money, euro, and so from what you
Yeah.
said, like as I say, it's a kind of illegal something. And going ahead to what we are discussing, what is the minimum wage in Poland?
Okay, sorry. So why it is important, the minimum wage? Because when somebody is hired on umowa o pracę, has to be paid the minimum. Otherwise, this is not right according to the labor law. As long as the person's got employment agreement, not umowa zlecenie. Umowa zlecenie, it is different situation. Umowa zlecenie, you can be paid any amount of money. But if you do full-time job, the minimum that you should get monthly is that one for
2,800
2,800 per
a month.
the minimum. And why it is important? Because for those people who need the work permit to legalize their stay on the ground of the work, they must be paid this. Doesn't matter if they got umowa o pracę or umowa zlecenie, so they should be paid at least this amount of money. Otherwise, they be refused to get the work permit. So to get whoever needs the work permit has to be paid at least this amount of money. And it doesn't matter if the person works full-time or half-time, that what the Polish authorities are interested in is the amount of money that the person earns.
Could you repeat that? That is very important because a lot of people are earning this below net.
Netto.
Yes.
So can you repeat what you
Can you
said?
repeat?
Right. This is okay. So we need to explain this. Okay, this is connected with this and this, right? Okay. So that one.
Extend this.
Okay. That's all right. So the minimum that I'm talking about, right?
Okay.
This is that one.
Grosz.
Gro. That means like a brutto. So this is usually the amount of money that you have written in your contract.
Okay.
And this is the money that you
you
just
take home.
you are paid actually, right? So this minimum this is the amount of money that is brutto and including taxes, social insurance, and everything. And this amount of money this is your take-home pay and also these, right? So that I just sorry. So this is the contribution for your income tax, and this is also your pension, like elderly or disability, health insurance like this NSAP. So these are the parts of the money that you've got written on your contract, and you can see easily how it's done. Here, maybe. This is an example how it is counted, right? So
need this one.
wait a second. So this is that gross. This is that one, the first one. This is brutto. That's what you see on your contract.
Oh, it is 2,800.
Like 3 to 6, that will be written on your contract. But actually, you'll be paid just only this because
You'll be
this
paid?
money will go for your income tax, for your like disability insurance. So you can see this is kind of complicated, how it is counted, like from this amount of money and who pays what. But I think it is very important to realize that this amount consists of those.
Great. So
That's why the people are so disappointed when they see on the contract this what we call brutto, right? This amount of money, and they are paid netto, and they don't know where the money disappeared, and they call it that this is just taxes. They are not just taxes. This is just insurance as well.
Okay,
And
great.
then the difference between that was just for the workshop. So see the difference. Like this is just like, let's say, the ordinary worker, right? So, and that would be for a student who is under 26, right? So
This is for students under
under
26?
26, as long as the person's got this social insurance. So let's say that I be the employer, and I want to hire this student. So like for other person I will have to pay this, but for this person, because it's under 26 and has already ZUS, I don't need to pay this amount, and this amount. What means that the person will get everything, like,
Cash, everything
Yeah.
in full.
Great, but as a student who is above 26, is it possible?
unfortunately it comes to that one.
So there is no way to divert it or avoid it.
Otherwise everybody would be a student at the end of the days.
Okay.
So this is for...
Unfortunate, but the thing is that when you've got this full-time job in one place and do some extra work for umowa zlecenie, then you don't need to pay all of this, right? Just on the income tax.
So-
When you've got a full-time work and when you are hired just like the ordinary worker for.
So do you need to inform your second employer that you already have a
Yes.
full-time job?
Yes, before being paid. Like, let's say that when I hire somebody, the person has to write a statement, write it like, am I a student? Do I have another income from another? Do I run my own business? Or do I work in another place? How much I earn? So this is necessarily before you just got something like that, or you.
Okay, so let's say I see this minimum wage of 2,800.
1,800.
So if you are under 26 and you have 2,800 as your quota, yes? You will also get 2,800 here.
As long as you've got the social insurance paid.
Okay.
Okay.
And also, excuse me, and also because you are under 26, you don't have to pay taxes.
Okay, so I
But
think
this is another law. It's nothing to do with the social insurance.
So if
And-
you are above 26 and let's say you have this 2,800 up here, that means
3,000.
No, that's not 3,000.
that's
was
326
just-
zloty.
Yeah, that was just a small job that somebody
It's
did.
example.
Right?
Yeah, so if you have 2,800 here, that 2,000 will be deducted, and whatever is left
And-
is what will be given to you.
They'll
Yes?
be given just only 200 for 6.
Interesting.
Because
So
this
at the
this
end
part,
of the day,
yeah.
if you are earning 3,500, they are supposed to deduct only 246.
No. This is just based from this example.
it depends on the amount.
Okay,
Like
depends
they
on
have
depends on
percentage.
amount. Yes,
Yes.
this is
Oh,
just
they have
11%
let's
of that
say if you want to
3,000,
have
20%.
like an impression how much you'll be paid. So in general, there'll be 1/3 part from this amount taken from.
From you.
That's 1/3 in general, right?
So I think in that sense now I could recall I think 2 years ago I was still below 26 and I was still hired on based on employment contract, a mobile person, but I wasn't getting as like the brutto, I wasn't getting it as it is. So there was still something being removed. So I was wondering maybe my company wasn't paying those. Is it possible? Because from what I
It's
understand,
forbidden. It's forbidden. I mean, like it's forbidden. Like that.
I should receive it as it is, right?
No, you should receive just no. Let's okay. I think it's just a confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your employer,
Mhm.
before paying you, like let's say that you would just get like I don't know 3,000. So me as your employer, I will have to pay for hiring you your ZUS, and also you will have to pay as a worker a contribution for ZUS also from my side and from your side. You will have to pay like income taxes contribution, and all of that will be paid before you got your salary. So
Okay.
it is up to me as your employer to send to those institutions the money monthly on your behalf, and also from my side. But if I don't pay your Zeus, that means that I will be found guilty.
Okay, so now I get it. But because I was trying to check the difference between when I was still below 26 and when I was up to 26, the difference looks like kind of 100 zloty or 150 zloty, but it doesn't matter. I think we could go ahead with other questions. And
Is it clear? Because
I
I
think
know
it
it
is.
is
So
complicated.
what is most important is that no one should earn below 2,800 gross.
Excuse me. This 2,800, is it as like this or for this? Yes?
No. It's like that.
Okay.
That one, brutto.
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 Okay.
The full
I
thing.
think it is. Is it not
Gross.
gross?
Gross.
Yeah,
But
gross,
in English,
Yeah,
is it not
gross.
that?
Yeah, gross. Yeah.
So minimum of 2,800
800
gross.
No. But wait a second. I mean, you can, as a student, you can be paid. You can earn less. It doesn't mean that everybody's got this amount. I mean, I was just only saying that somebody who needs to get a work permit won't get a work permit earning less.
Oh, okay.
And that's the only case that I was just mentioning. But as a student, you can even work for 100 a few hours, right? It doesn't mean that, but also as a person who does full-time job and has umowa o pracę, according to the labor law, for the full-time job, this is the minimum.
Okay.
So two cases, like, right? The person with full-time
Time
job
contract.
and a employment contract, not umowa zlecenie, but employment contract, has to be paid this amount of money at least monthly.
Okay, so I think we take one question, but before this question, can you read the question we have on the chat?
But this is the question from talking about banks. Someone asked, in case, I send money from my friend, my friend is from another country, and they send money to me for my tuition fee, and my bank blocks my account. What do I do? That's the question. But like we said,
I think
yeah,
we can.
yeah.
I mean, there are ways to complain about the banks and the institutions that you can just complain about it, but I think that the most important is just to clarify with the bank what were the circumstances of this transaction.
Okay, so
I think that maybe to start, going to the bank to clarify all the situation, all the circumstances of that, and the second maybe to complain about the bank. Anything else, or maybe just...
I think
okay,
we
so
are
we
good to
could
move
go
on to the
ahead.
next
And what are the
topic.
types of agreements or contracts we have in Poland?
We've done it already. That was
Yeah.
the very beginning.
Pictures.
That was very
Now
beginning.
we're
Just in the pictures.
All right, sorry. Okay, sorry. So this is what you call umowa o pracę, right? I don't know it. I just maybe that this translation is not the perfect one, right? But what I want you to know that umowa o pracę is just governed by this employment law. So that's what I was just saying about that you've got to be paid this amount of money when you are full-time worker, and also that you've got the right for your holiday leave and stuff like that. So this is just
All right, so we can move to the
right.
next one.
So what else?
What else do you want
Okay.
to show us?
So what else we could have? The next thing we have?
Again, once again.
No, I mean this
No.
one. What is it?
Right, but that was for those people who need this work permit, right?
Okay.
So I don't know if we need. Are you Chris? Hi, Amanda.
Okay.
You are cold, Chris. Really cold, Chris. Right. So when I was talking about the work permit, right? So I wanted you to know the employer applies for the work permit for a worker, and what the worker does is just has to establish the legal stay on the ground of work. But what the people very often do not know, and this is important, and there was somewhere like the laws of work. Did we have that? Right. So let's say that somebody's got a temporary residence permit on the ground of work. not studying any longer, just, it's not full-time student, whatever. So, and then, unfortunately, lost his or her work. It just, this person has to inform the immigration office within 15 working days. It is very, very important because people do not do it and have problems. So if your temporary stay is on the ground of your work, when you change the employer, when you just lose your work, you need to inform the immigration office. And afterwards, when you find a new employer, then you need again apply for the new temporary residence permit.
So
Sorry,
does it mean if this temporary residence card you
you
have,
don't have the card is not your access to the labor market. This is just a permission to work for this particular employer. It is
so as soon as you have it and you lose your job, for instance, or you were fired, automatically it gets like deactivated?
not really automatically. That in practice, you still have this card and you may use it, but according to law, you need to inform the immigration office that within 15 days. Another thing is that, but this is a tricky thing. You can't find it in the Polish law. They would say you that you've got 30 days to find a new job. But according to the Polish law, there is nowhere that you will find it. So this is just only from the practice, because when you inform the immigration office, then you don't have your job any longer, or you change the employer. Right? They will start proceeding withdrawing your case and cancelling your permission. It takes them usually at least 30 days, but in practice it takes them 40, 50, 60. So not to have any gap in the legal stay, people try to do it in 30 days, but they don't have to do it in 30 days. If they are lucky and they they don't work fast. So if they're lucky, they can just postpone it, and stay on these cards as long as this exists on the system.
So, but
That's why the people may even cross the border up and down.
so but what is the difference between, because I was having some discussion with one of my friends and he said if you apply on the ground of work after your graduation in Poland, in that case, you don't have this kind of condition that you...
Yes, because when you are graduated in Poland, you don't need the work permit. I'm talking about the people, no. But when you change the job, you don't need the work permit. This is the problem with the work permit, right? Because your employer has to just organize the work permit for you first, and then you just go to immigration office to legalize your stay. In the case like you're talking about it, somebody's graduated in Poland, first, you just go... your legal stay on the ground of this work, but you need to inform the immigration office still when you changed your employer. Unfortunately, you're having this card, and it's written in the card that you've got. This is actually literally it's written that you've got the access to the labor market, but mainly you've got this permission for. You legalize on the ground of this particular work. So you should just unfortunately, you should inform again the immigration office and get a new one for the new work, like a new legalization of stay on the ground of new work, because the ground of your stay has changed. So I know it's not clear because this law is not clear.
No, so in that sense, what it means is that after graduation and you get get your card on the ground of work for a particular company, then that card is only for that company.
Yeah, in general. Yes.
In general, it's just for that company.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Somebody asked, is it every employer that can apply for a work permit for their employees?
As long as everybody may apply, every employer may apply. But some of them may just got a negative decision. So if the employer hired illegally or had the workers working illegally in the place maybe just may get a negative decision, and also if this employer is registered and did something illegally, then they may be refused to get the permission for this particular worker. Yeah, or for any foreign worker in general. So, and of course for those workers who did something like human trafficking and stuff like that. So this is just, that's why the employer has to, when you've got the application for the employer, you have to inform about everything, and also you write like a declaration that there is no case proceeding in the court and blah blah. So
Okay, so coming back to the case of work of you have your temporary residence card in the grant of work after your studies. Now, actually, it's usually 3 years you got after your graduation. You get this card for 3 years, and you lose your job, for instance, after 1 year. You still have 2 years in this card. Do you?
You should just get another card on the ground of new work.
Yeah, but if you lose this job, do you think that card you already had will give you the permission to get a new job before applying for the change? I don't know if you get it.
Yes, I got it, but this is the situation that I was talking about, right? So this is mainly something like that, right? This is exactly the situation like that. You need to inform the immigration office. You still got a time to find a new job, and your card is valid for this time.
Exactly.
It's not written anywhere that it should be done in 30 days' time. But because the proceeding of this, they might be cancelled. And what I was trying to say that in practice, the people use this card much longer.
Yeah.
Before getting a new one. But of course, when you just apply on the ground of your new job, there'll be like you need to change your documents and blah blah. That is what employers, NGOs, and lawyers fighting for, to change the law, just to give to the foreigners access to the labor market in general, not to the particular employer, because it makes so difficult for the employers and for the workers.
Great.
But unfortunately, the government is as it is, and we just can't get this new law. Would you like tea or coffee? Because they've been served, and there is also a cake for us. Why not? No problem, but you can just serve yourself like tea or coffee, and but just help yourself with the cake.
So going ahead, I think we have the next one. I think we already did it, maybe I think now a lot of people joined, but I think,
don't tell me they don't have anything better to do on Saturday night.
No, I mean a kind of summary. What can you do if your employer refuses to pay you?
Okay,
This one.
we did it.
We did it, but we didn't show the picture.
Okay, right. So if the employer, doesn't want to pay you for your work, this is why you should insist of having this work agreement in writing, because it's much easier to prove that your work's been done. And so what you do first, you write a request for payment to your employer and make it as a registered letter and send it by post. Don't bother sending any emails or just delivering any papers to the office, as long as they're not stamped and as long as it's not a note that's been delivered on that particular day. And be sure that when you write this request for payment, just mention where the money should be transferred, write your number of your bank account, and what is very important, write a deadline. Like the money should be paid till blah blah. And if still you don't get, and also you can mention that if you are not paid till the deadline, then you just go to the court. And I would just encourage that very often the people are just paid on this level.
First level.
Yeah.
So, and I think I can say something.
Question.
Someone online asked, from the first question about the negative decision, because you said something about your employer being the one to apply for a work permit, and they asked what type of negative decision.
What do they
Like,
mean? Like what type?
I
The negative
think-
decision is just like a refusal. The negative decision is not that you don't get the positive decision. Then there are okay. When somebody got the negative decision, they make it on this document the explanation why the decision is negative. But the reasons to the negative decision is just a negative decision. It's just a refusal. But the reasons to get the refusal might be various. It could be like, I don't know. No, let's say that you don't have. Let's say you won't be paid enough. You don't get this minimum, for example, as a worker. This is the good reason to give you the negative decision. That you won't get the minimum wages in this country. Negative decision. You can't get the temporary stay on the ground of your work. Negative decision. You are checked by the border guard. You gave them the address. You are not living at this address. Negative decision. Because you gave the false statement in your application form. So the reasons to get the negative decision, it might be like really hundreds.
So the border guards has to come and confirm your.
I mean, because when it doesn't like what's the proceeding looks like. You apply at the immigration office. The immigration office and other institutions, the police, the border guard, and blah blah. They will check if the information in the application form are true. But according to the Polish law, if we are giving the false statement, you can be found guilty and even imprisoned into 2 years. So giving the false statement is for the immigration office a good excuse to give you a negative decision. No wonder they are calling them.
Okay. Someone has another question. How long? Oh, sorry.
No,
You didn't finish? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let's go to the end.
Oh, okay. How long does it take after graduation to be eligible for permanent residency? But we're not talking anything about permanent.
I'm talking about permanent residence.
Okay, but the person just asked anyway.
First, you
So.
need to get the temporary residency, and if you get the temporary after 5 years, or you can apply for the residency of the European residency permit. You can get either this or the permanent one, but you need to also to pass the exam of the Polish language if you want to get it in Poland on the level B1. So after getting those temporary permits, of course you can apply for the permanent one, but it takes about it's supposed to be shorter in the future, hopefully, the period.
Okay, so do we have another question?
Or,
Yes.
or we can do, you can just marry somebody that will be faster.
But if
But does that law still apply? I
No,
thought
but
they finished.
still the person married to the Polish citizen first got the temporary residence permit first.
and also has to pass the exams as well. Polish exams. Yeah.
Let me remind I can't remember now the situation.
I think,
Even for somebody married to the Polish citizen.
yeah, I think in the past it used to be.
For the permanent one, yes, but for the temporary, it's almost automatically.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah, for the
yes.
permanent one,
Yes.
it used to be the case
Yeah.
before you don't need exams, but
Yeah, they
for
introduced
permanent-
this law a few years ago. Before that, it was much easier, and nobody had to pass this exam.
Okay.
And the last question: what if your employer pays you less than 2,800 zloty?
So then, take them to court.
No, but hold on, I explained that already. But that's the person's got like full-time job and also has the umowę o pracę. The question is to this person. That's why I mean this is exactly the situation that when I don't know the details, I don't what am I supposed to do now? I need to say in case you are hired and have employment agreement, yes. If you are paid less and you full-time worker, yes, go to the court. But if you've got umowa zlecenie and you've got written on your agreement that you are supposed to get less money, sorry to say, you will get less money than that is minimum. So that's why I mean, like I need more details to give the right answer for that.
We are talking about now minimum wage in terms of a mobile oppressor. Can I ask because I know in also Zechenia there is minimum wage, like I think
Per hour.
40 per hour.
Per hour.
So what is the minimum wage per hour in Zechenia?
Oh, can't remember now. There's like 13 something. I will tell you in a second. I can't remember now. Yes, this is the minimum for per hour. Yes, this is true. Yes, there is also the minimum per hour that the person should be paid.
Yeah, so
But I don't want to lie now. I need to check it because it's been.
no problem. So once you confirm, I think we can post it in our group later on. Do we have another question? Because we need to.
Yeah.
Come on, let's.
Is there a
I was
maximum?
up at 5 this morning.
Uh-huh.
And okay, go on.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so is there a maximum working hour for foreigners?
That's the same question I
It was
asked
said
already.
before.
I said before, but
And I was twice.
Maybe they join.
No worries. We will post the
We'll post the
the postcards
Okay,
and
in
explanation.
general, let me say there are no differences between hiring foreigner and a Polish citizen. So there are no limits for the foreigner. The foreigner may just work even 48 hours if it's met, right? So the same the Polish people. So there are no limits for the foreigners, right? That I mean,
Okay.
the person may work like overtime, and so it's not a problem.
All right.
The problem is the person paid for the work? That's why you should.
So even if they work for only 2 weeks and they get fired, can they still get paid?
They should be paid for anyone. Even if you work 1 day, you should be paid for 1 day.
All right. Thank you. So what else would you like to show us, please? Or
I think
you've
I've
run out?
shown enough.
Oh, all
And I
right.
still will go like to do some work.
oh my God, you have done so much for us already, and we've taken so much of your time.
No, that's all right. I need coffee. Who wants coffee? Who wants tea?
So thanks so much,
The little
guys.
papers are inside. Hold on, hold
we
on.
would like
Okay,
to-
sorry. I just leave it to you if you want. Just
No,
I don't need that. If you
No,
want
this
it.
one. This
Do we
one
have
I'm
more
saying.
questions
All right,
on
so
the chat?
sorry.
Oh, yeah, you can ask.
You can ask.
Whereby you have your person number, you're
It's
living,
Sorry.
if you are living somewhere from the address, you use the address to do your person number. Then you have to change your building. You need to go to like you are living.
All right. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Right. But okay, if you done your person number in one place and you just did it in district.
Mokoto.
Yes, like in that district. Then you move to another district. The only thing that you had like a residency into this district, you've done this as well to get the person number.
Yes.
Right. And there was also the temporary one, right? This is nothing to do with your legalization of staying in Poland. You did it just only to stay in Warsaw and get PESEL, right? And is it still valid?
Yes.
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 I mean, is it still valid?
PESEL.
The person.
No PESEL. PESEL is still till you are dead.
Yeah.
Sorry to say.
Because
This is for your own life. I'm not asking about the PESEL. I know this is confusing for the foreigners, right? We are talking like there are two different laws. I mean, when you want to live in a particular place in Poland, and it's nothing to do with the immigration office or anything like that, you want to register your address in Warsaw, let's say. So you just register yourself in a district Mokotów, right? Then you move to another place. I'm asking, when you register there, no, I'm not talking about the person. You got something like a sheet of paper, something saying like the temporary residency in this quarter is still this and this time. So is it still valid?
No. Once you leave that place, it's
No. I'm asking about another thing. Okay, according to the Polish law, anybody who stays, I mean, I know that nobody bothers about it because nobody checks that. Your immigration office wouldn't bother about it. But according to the law, whoever is Polish person, foreigner, whoever lives longer than 3 months in one place should just register in this town, this district, or this village as a temporary resident of this particular place. So when you want to make your peso, of course you had to do this temporary residence in a quarter of Warsaw. And I'm asking, this temporary residence, is it still valid? Do you know that or not?
We don't know that.
But it is written in a sheet of paper that you were given. When you were doing that, when you were making parcel, that usually they do it for 3 months in the beginning, then you just extend it.
We never extended.
I know, because nobody cares about it, and I'm telling you, do not worry about it, because even the Polish people, they don't do it, because nobody's checked, right? So according to law, everybody's supposed to do it, and nobody does. But sometimes it is good to have it. When, for example, having the driving license. Like living here, like even having your own driving license that you just pass your exams in your country. You can use it for half of a year here, but afterwards you have to change it into the Polish ones. And to do it, you're supposed to do it in your district office. And if you don't have the address there, you won't be like served. You know, you don't get the service because you are supposed to do some things in a quarter or town or village you live. You are a resident of. This is
So I think someone is asking the residents.
Okay, so
Please explain the difference.
water?
Is it for me?
Yes.
Okay.
In the stuff is that
Someone.
like you have a person number, the place you're living with, the address, because if you have any information like any letter from the post office, they have to trace it with your person number. And my letter state whenever they want to send a letter to you, it goes to my former house.
So you need to update your address.
Yeah.
But you are talking about the migration office, like letters from the migration
Yes,
office.
letter from the
Oh,
migration
so this
office,
is a
letter
different situation. You're talking about totally different things. The foreigner has to inform the migration office as soon as possible when they change the address, because you may have the problem. Just like, let's say I had a situation like that. The guy from India moved out from the place, and he got the decision sent to the previous address, and he wasn't aware about the decision, and he didn't appeal for this decision because he wasn't aware that the letter was lying there. So, I mean, anytime when you change the address, do not worry about the special number or anything. It's nothing to do with the district. But the most important thing is just to inform the migration office, because all the papers will go, official papers will go to your previous address, and you will never know where you go. And there might be a problem.
Sure.
And this is just, sorry, I'll just to finish. You need to write just a letter to the migration office. Or I will write, then it will be just mentioned that I have changed the address into blah blah, and I'm informing the migration office about it. That's it, what you need to write.
Someone
And send us a registered letter.
Someone online asked, is the temporary residence you are talking about Meldunek? Concerning the district, the one you said you had to renew, like, and nobody does it, but government doesn't check. So they're asking, is this residence you're talking about, is it this temporary residence, is it Meldunek? You can check it. Mel.
Talking about, yes.
So yes.
So it's Meldunek.
Meldunek. All right. Thank you. That's all.
Great. So I think
No. I'm just saying that in English is confusing, because the term like a temporary resident in a town and temporary resident in Poland is just they've got the same words for two different things in Poland.
Okay. So guys, I think we've been able to go in details. And thanks guys for joining for this second section. And once again, we would like to thank everyone for joining. We would like to thank Imelda. Could you say hi to this screen?
Thank you guys for doing it.
Yes, so guys, I would like to appreciate Chris as well for joining this section. And finally, I would like to say thank you so much to Aga for being so well detailed, and I think it was really nice. There are lots of information that we didn't get before now, and I think this really helpful. On behalf of Nigeria,
Hopefully.
no, it is already. On behalf of Nigerian Student Association in Poland and SAP, would like to say a very big thank you to you. And you know, we're still going to have more. And most times, I always call on you when we have some troubles. If there are some students, I will send them to you. And you have always been there for us. So we will always have like next program, especially talking about laundry and other stuff. There are more topics we need to discuss for the beneficial of our students, especially because some people are still new. We still have new persons coming to Poland every time. So don't be surprised. Some topics and some questions will be repeated like every time because people may join in at any time. So guys, we thank you for this session and thank you so much, Aga. We really appreciate it. Say bye to Nigerian Student Association in Poland. Aga?
Thank you for your invitation and see you next time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye guys.
All right. And